think you have to be willing to get your hands dirty, do things that people are unwilling to do, do more than other people are willing to do.
Hello, and welcome back to Pillars of Wealth Creation. I'm your host, Todd Dexheimer. With me, we got Allison Bridges. Allison, how are you doing today?
Wonderful. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate you joining us. Allison's a business and real estate investor, mom of four. And man, talk about a busy life. Mom of four. She owns Curl Evolution Salon, Curlfection Hair Care, and Living Modern Rentals. Her real estate investing is focused on small apartment buildings, single family homes, Airbnb rentals, as well as she's a general partner and limited partner in large apartment complexes and mobile home parks. So, man, Allison, that's a lot. That's a mouthful. I really appreciate you joining us. Why don't you give our listeners a bit more about your background, kind of how you got started, and we'll dive in.
Absolutely. So I'll take it back a little ways. I got kicked out of high school.
You got kicked out of high
Yeah, I
school.
didn't like to go to class. So I got kicked out of high school and sent to tech school. And so I was able to get my cosmetology license a little early and started doing hair when I was just graduating high school. So that was a great head start for me. And I opened my first business when I was 23 years old. And that's the salon that I currently still have today. So we've been in business for 17 years. And through that, serving our customers, we specialized in curly hair, and serving our customers presented the need for hair care products that would serve them better. So that came the need for Curlfection hair care brand products. So we formulate and work with a chemist and have hair care products that help curly girls. And then looking to diversify my income, looking to diversify my focus, we started doing real estate about 4 years ago. And started with BRRRR method and picking up single family homes that were in our neighborhood in our hometown in Long Island, New York, and then branching out to doing some out-of-state investing with small apartment houses and Airbnb rentals, and became very friendly with a lot of people that are syndicators and doing larger apartment deals and mobile home parks. And that resonates with me because I like to be able to afford give people the opportunity to have some affordable housing options as well. So that was right in our area of what we were focusing on as well. So I'm also general partner and also a limited partner on a bunch of apartment houses and things like that. So
love it.
Yeah.
So let's go back, because I think the getting kicked out of school is fascinating.
Yeah.
And then doing what you do. Most people, they get kicked out of school, you just kind of think, oh, if somebody got kicked out of high school, doesn't finish high school. Well, maybe you did, but not the traditional sense, right? You're just like out there. Most people you just kind of think that you're just not going to amount to much, right? It's probably
Right.
the label you were given.
Absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely. And even in the industry as well, the hair industry has that same stigma to it as well. So, I guess it depends on if you're a fighter, you just go against the grain and say,
did you have that feeling that you weren't going to amount to anything at one point in time, or was it always, whatever, I'm going to make this happen?
Oh no, I was always going to be making something happen. I was always going to be, from the time I was young, I always knew that I would be okay, but being okay isn't okay with me anymore. Now I want to be, in a much better than okay.
Yeah. What do you say to people that are in a position like you were in? Like how do you reach that success level versus, being somebody who just doesn't amount to anything, truly?
I think you have to be willing to get your hands dirty, do things that people are unwilling to do, do more than other people are willing to do, and then shut out and shut down the people that are the naysayers, because a lot of times that's, that might even be your own family members, or it might even be people that are close to you that, you just have to shut out those voices and know your own path of what you're working towards.
Yeah. Was your family, like when that happened, what was that reaction like? Were they supportive? Were they like, you're going to be okay? Or was it pretty negative?
I would say it was probably a bit more negative. I mean,
Yeah.
mom having to go to
Naturally.
school
Right.
doesn't really go over too well. I was definitely, a tougher kid. I had my own ideas of how things would go.
Yeah.
Um, and so, I had to go out on my own just for myself when I was a bit young. I moved out at 15. So, you just have to kind of just close your ears, shut it down, and just keep your head down and keep working and do the
Right.
things that other people are not willing to do.
Yeah. So you've got a lot of stuff going on. You've got the two hair care businesses. You've got the real estate stuff going on. You got a lot of stuff going on in real estate, even with that. So I would call it, you've got three businesses, but you probably have a lot more than that when you really break it down, because you've
Yeah.
got the vacation rentals, the single families, the apartments. So you got a lot going on. How do you juggle it all with four kids? What are maybe what are some success habits that allow you to be successful and still be present?
I think that utilizing help is tremendous. And that's like just household help. Just we send our laundry out. A
Mm,
housekeeper comes to the house. Just utilizing people that it would take me 6 hours a week to do that laundry, where I can put that effort either to recovery time for myself or work time on something that we're working on. So just utilizing other people. And I guess my husband and I work really well together. We're very opposite people, or very opposite type of people. So we balance each other really nicely. And we run traction, which I know a lot of entrepreneurs run traction, but we run traction for everything. So now it's all it's all on one well, it's really 3 sheets once a week. And it includes our family as well. So
hmm,
to the businesses, all the higher level items that need to get taken care of, what is the current, things that need to happen right away, and then all the way down the line through the list of the kids' names for our household.
that's cool. I've never heard anybody using traction for their household, but
Got to do what you got to do.
yeah, you got to do it. So are the kids like, do you go through traction with your kids, like show them what to do?
No, if they are, we try to incorporate our kids into a lot of our business stuff. They
Yeah.
know our numbers, they know net worth, they know what debt's out, if it's, good debt on real estate properties or whatever it is. We have those conversations. If they're like maybe home from school or something, they'll sit in on one of our meetings and they'll get the same printout that,
Mm.
Tim and I get. And we will try to include them in there, but we
How
have,
young did you start? Do you start including them? Like how
I would
young are they?
say probably around 6 or so.
Mm,
We'll always have open conversations. I always hated when I was a kid and nobody would talk about money ever.
right.
I would always hate that, and it was always so secretive. And so we're very open about talking about money. I don't care. I'll if my kids ask me a question, like, then I tell them. And um
I'm the same way. I was very secretive, and it was mm, uh, maybe not looked down upon is the right word, but just kind of held really tight to the chest. And like, you don't
yes.
talk about it, you don't mention it. And, also my parents just didn't really have a lot of it. So they had 6 kids and they had
Oh,
enough money to take care of 6 kids, but, they didn't have a lot of money, free discretionary income. So maybe that was part of it too. But it seemed like it was always either a negative, or it was just like, yeah,
yes.
we'll leave that subject alone. You mentioned something that you said, they know the numbers, net worth. They know what your guys' net worth is, or they know what net
Yeah.
worth is. They
No.
do.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. If they ask,
I I struggle with saying that, because my kids will say, are you guys are you millionaires?" And I just struggle with saying, too much, because I don't want them. There's that line, like, I don't want them to think we're rich and just somehow assume that, that means we're different somehow. right? But I also want them to know about money and be open about it. So I think it's really valuable and important. So it's just interesting to hear somebody that openly says it.
Yeah, no, I don't know. We openly say it. We value money. If we're working on a project, and we'll put the kids on some of the house projects, build a deck, do this, whatever. They'll buy the material. We're shopping. We're showing them how to buy, the best quality material that we can for the price point. So they're getting it from both ways. We're shopping, as smart as we can. And then while we're growing net worth at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just always an interesting conversation, but I do think it's super important to be able to be open with the kids and talk to them about what's going on and what you're doing. My kids will talk a lot about wanting things. And one of the things my parents would always say is, we can't afford that. And I'm trying to be very open about, we just don't want to afford that. Like, this is something we're not interested in buying. And it's not because we don't have the money for it. It's because it's just not the best place for our money to go. So I think there's a big distinction, in my opinion, about those two things, right? We can't afford it. You're telling your kids like money is this roadblock, right? We don't want to afford it. We're being responsible.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's really important to be appropriate with your language, because you're telling them a story otherwise, and they'll just keep telling it to themselves.
Right. Okay, what's a mistake that you have made in the business, and how did you learn and grow from it?
Mistake made in the business. I've made so many mistakes. I think, what is a mistake? I think becoming partners with somebody that wasn't aligned with, I was just excited to have a partner, like thinking that somebody was going to share this work with me and that they had the same work ethic that I did. And that's not the case. And it's really a marriage, and you need to date before you go ahead and get into partnership with anybody. But I've made so many mistakes, so many.
But I think as
long as you learn from them, then you're making progress.
Yeah. And I think that's a big one. The partnership, it's like you said, you get so excited at the beginning, and sometimes you talk with somebody and it just clicks, like things, you both have a lot of the same ideas, or like that overall vision might be right on, right? You're like, both are like, yeah, this is exactly where I want to go. Yeah. Great. Me too. Same thing. And you get excited and you get into business, but you don't really know anything about that person, or you don't know enough about that person to have a good partnership. And then when push comes to shove, when the hard work has to begin, when, whatever, are they into it like you're into it? Are they chasing the next shiny object? A lot of times we get so excited about the potential of starting this business, running this business, and having this partnership, that it's just like,
absolutely,
we jump in too early.
You're more excited about the partnership than you are. It's like being more excited about the wedding than the marriage.
Yeah. So what would you say? Like, what can somebody do that's starting or interested in a partnership and is excited about something? Like, hold up, this is what you need to think about.
I think about making sure that there's somebody that complements you and is not the same as you. If you are that way and they are the same, they have the strengths that you do, that's not a good partnership. You need somebody that excels in an area that you do not. And that is a good partnership, as long as you're aligned in what you're working for. And then I think a lot of people's, especially for women, the home life comes into play a bit more. And that has to be aligned as well. And so that's what kind of happened with my partnership, was that their focus was 100% on family and not business at all.
Yeah.
And that's what ultimately was when we needed to split the partnership.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah. And of course, family is important, right? But as long as you understand where the boundaries are and the expectations, again, it's all about expectations and making sure both of you are aligned with expectations. One person's willing to put in 30 hours, a week, and the other person's going to put in 90 hours a week, that's a little different,
Not,
or
yeah, it's
10
not the same. Mhm.
yeah, that's a little
Yeah,
different.
exactly.
So yeah, that's definitely, and one thing I say is, for me, it's like, can I have a beer? Can I hang out and have a beer with them? Like, that's another thing I
Mhm.
really look for, is like, I want to make sure I can hang out with that person and actually enjoy time with them. Cause there's going to be times where it's going
Yeah,
to not be,
that could be
oh
fun.
yeah. So we want to make sure we can actually stand each other. Right. That's really important.
Mhm.
Let's talk about scaling. Some of the things you're doing, you already talked about, traction, obviously that's really valuable. Any other things you're doing to continue to scale and grow this business or these businesses, that are really valuable?
I think, just employing people that have strengths where I am not as strong, where I cannot put as much focus. So like the product line, we now have a dedicated marketing company that is
Mm.
working with that company.
Is that your company, or is that a third party company that you've hired?
It's a third party company that I've hired,
Yeah.
but they basically, they act as a CMO
Hmm.
and, in growing that brand. So
When do you bring that in house, or do you bring that in house? Is that something you've thought
I
about?
think you could bring it in house, but I think it would be a lot more expensive.
Yeah.
So right now it's, as if I can keep it out of house for right now, it's better to get that product more off the ground.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's an important distinction, right? Sometimes we want to bring things in house quickly, and we're looking at bringing some of our property management and our construction management in house. But it's what you just said right there is really valuable. It might be more expensive. Like, it's nice to bring
mhm,
some stuff in house. It's nice to bring everything in house, but sometimes it just doesn't make sense. And so even when you look
absolutely.
at big companies, they don't have everything in house. They outsource
No,
things.
they outsource it to certain things and you got to really choose. Do I really want to put the extra effort into learning this other side of the business?
Hmm.
Or do I just employ these people that they're already crushing it? Let's go,
Yeah.
put them on
Yeah.
the team, but not so much.
Absolutely. Um, what you've got all these food groups of real estate. We talk a lot about real estate on the show, so I want to dive into some of these food groups. Which ones maybe do you like better than the others, or what's kind of your main focus right now?
I like my $1,000 apartment rentals.
Mm.
I like small apartment buildings. I like providing a hell of a lot better service and than what has previously been offered to the people
Yeah,
in the areas that we focus on.
just not being a slumlord, right?
Just yeah, like it's not that hard,
No.
and people are really appreciate it, especially
Mhm.
um, coming into some of those, older properties because we have some older properties that are pretty cool, and people just really appreciate that. And I enjoy the Airbnb because we have family focused Airbnbs, so they're durable. They've got just a lot of different features that a family would want when
Are
they're
these like
vacationing.
vacation rentals, or is it
Yes.
okay?
Yeah, they're vacation rentals at a lake community.
Gotcha.
And yeah, so it's kind of like camp for families, basketball courts, beaches, but we, make sure that there's, the child safe electric, over the electric, and things are a little bit more durable along the walls. We have, stuff that kids can bang into a little bit if they need to. So
Love it. Um, Are you guys self-managing the vacation rentals, or are you third-party managing those?
no, I manage them.
You manage those.
Yes.
And is it worth managing? Oh, I think the answer is yes, because you said you like them, but it's worth it managing those.
100%.
And does it take a lot of time? Like,
No,
what's that?
no, I utilize a lot of apps. So I use a lot of apps that auto send people the messages. So all that stuff is already plugged in and ready to roll. I'm very clear with the guests of, the information that every time a guest asks me if I could put it into my main email that they get, the next client's going to get a more thorough email. And yeah, it's a lot of times it's just messaging back people that just had a great time at the house and the housekeeper is coming to clean, and so I'll just message with them a little bit, but it's really not a lot of extra time at all.
Yeah, that's been one of my like biggest hesitations with the vacation rentals, is just that it's an extra distraction maybe in my daily life, and I'm not sure
Yeah.
if I'm ready for this extra distraction yet.
Yeah, you have to be ready to hear that certain ding, like, oh, somebody has just texted. I have to answer that one.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, we basically anywhere we travel, we're using a vacation rental. We're not or short-term rental. We're not typically staying in hotels. Very, very rarely, unless
Yeah.
it's me traveling by myself. And even then, a lot of times, it's not. So, and I'm not. At least me personally, we're not high maintenance. So, maybe everybody's the same as me. I don't know, but I'm sure there's going to be some people that are very high maintenance. That's what you worry about, is like that person that has like 67 questions over a 3-minute period of time. It's like,
Yeah.
what's going on here? All right. So what's like morning habit, evening habit, daily habit? What are some daily habits that you really like to dig into?
Daily habits, I had gotten very into the whole, miracle morning, the whole thing for a while. And then I was listening to a podcast with Alex Hormozy, and he was talking about people being dependent or crutched on their morning, or being crutched on their habit. And I was like, you know what? That makes a ton of sense, because I don't want my productivity to be linked in my brain to, oh, I didn't do my special whatever. I don't have, as long as I have black coffee, we're gonna go. So that's what I've come away from having habits that are like a daily thing.
Yeah.
I will try to get in a 10-minute meditation, maybe once a week, twice a week. But aside from that, a lot of those habits, I've actually dropped them.
Yeah, that's interesting too. Yeah, it's almost like some of these can be, like you said, like a crutch. Like it's
Mhm.
like, think of like the baseball player that has to tap the bat on the
Yeah, or I've got to wear
home
my
plate
special
4
dirty
times.
socks or something.
Yeah,
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 no,
exactly. Some of
my
that.
socks are off.
It's it's like, and I'm not saying you shouldn't do daily habits. I'm fine if you do. I'm fine if you don't. But I can understand Alex's point. I really actually like listening to that guy.
Hmm.
He's a very interesting guy.
Yes.
There's something for everybody, and I think that's important, is you understand what works for you and what doesn't, and
Yes.
embrace whatever works for you, and don't have to be pigeonholed to somebody else's, perfection or routine or whatever they think is the right way to live their life. Like, no, you work what works for you and what makes you successful.
Absolutely. I feel like we go through seasons of busyness too. There'll be a time that we're crazy busy running
Mhm.
around, and then that season is over because that house gets finished, or the job gets done at the shop, or whatever it is, and then it chills out a little bit. So it's
Yeah.
more seasons than anything.
Yeah, yeah. In some of those seasons, you just may not get that daily meditation in, or you
Right.
may not get that daily workout in, whatever it might be, but that's okay. Like, don't let
Yeah.
that derail who you are and what you're doing.
Yeah. It doesn't slow down progress.
Yeah, love that. Allison, a couple last questions before we wrap. What's a favorite book that you can recommend to our listeners?
I am currently reading 10x is Better Than 2x by Ben Hardy.
Hmm.
And when I say reading, I mean Audible,
Mhm.
because I'm in the car a lot. My kids are very busy across Long Island, so
So they get
listening
to
to
listen
it.
with you?
What's that?
Do they get to listen with you?
They don't like to.
Yeah.
They ask me to shut
Mine are
off
the same.
my. They don't want to listen to that, so I like to turn on my 2000 rap music for them instead in the car, get them going. But no, yeah, so that 10x is Better Than 2x is really good, written by Ben Harney. It's about Dan Sullivan and his company's strategic coach.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of really good little nuggets about it. But the Audible version is Ben Hardy and Dan Sullivan, just having a back and forth conversation in between chapters that you don't get in the book. And I think it just brings a little bit of a different perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. I love Audible as well. I
Yeah.
probably read, quote
Yeah.
unquote,
Reading, quote
read,
unquote.
90% of my books on Audible.
Yes. Yeah.
Definitely a great way to go. Okay. And then, last question, I guess. What are your 3 pillars of wealth creation?
Pillars of wealth creation, I guess. I mean, my pillars would be, the salon industry, the hair care brands, and then the real estate all separated, I guess is what I would think of. But just diversifying everything as much as I possibly can while keeping it under control. That way, if I see a market downturning, I can pivot and work in some other area, just as just to play some defense on it.
What's
Yeah.
your vision moving forward here? Kind of, you've got the hair care, you've got the real estate, kind of 2 totally separate things. What's your vision to moving forward and growing?
Well, my vision for the real estate is I feel like the hair care, the salon feeds the real estate. So
Yeah.
the salon is a very active business. There's a lot of touch points back and forth every day. It's a very fast moving business, but the real estate is very slow moving, very, very slow moving. So I kind of feel like the profit that might get kicked off from the salon gets put into real estate. And then, I'm not going to do the salon life forever. That's unreasonable to think that. So I think having that real estate now kicking monthly income off to us. Right now, all of our monthly income goes right back into the real estate, but there will be a point where that's not the case. And so when the time comes, it will not just be a sudden flip of lifestyle. It's just a slow balance where salon was higher up before, and then the switch will happen where now it's going to be real estate more strongly as we get older.
Yep. Yep. And that makes sense. And they obviously complement each other, right? The salon is more of your active income.
Yes.
That's it. But that also feeds not only your lifestyle, what you're doing, but it feeds the real estate investment, which eventually will feed your lifestyle as you sell the salon businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Love that. All right, Allison. Well, how can our listeners get in touch with you, learn more about what you're doing?
Sure. So they can visit living-modern-rentals.com, or they can go to curlevolution.com, and those are both of my websites, and follow me there or send a message and our team will forward it over.
Perfect. Allison, really appreciate it. Love the story. Love going from, high school, getting kicked out of high school to owning successful businesses, growing a net worth, having a family of 4, teaching them all about finances and not being nervous about, talking about money in front of your kids.
Don't be nervous. Just do it.
I love the story. So really appreciate it. Definitely an inspiration. You have a fantastic rest of the day.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you having me on today.
Hey, thanks so much for listening. I appreciate you being a loyal listener. I would love to have you go on to our Facebook page and subscribe, give us a thumbs up, go on to iTunes or wherever you listen and give us a rating and review. Don't forget to subscribe. Your rating and review just helps us push this out to more and more people and continue to grow our audience and hopefully positively affect a ton of people out there that really need this and want this. So the other thing I've got for you is a free ebook on my website. So go on to venturedproperties.com, and download our free ebook on real estate and on syndication. And I've got some data points in there, some really good stuff for you. So I'd love to have you take a look at that. It's free. I'm not expecting anything from it. And also, look, if you want some help in multifamily, want some help learning, growing, getting your business off the ground, I would love to talk to you about what it would look like to work with me potentially and see if that's a good fit. So you can go to coachwithdex.com and check that out, and we can definitely have a call.
Thanks a lot for listening. You make it a fantastic rest of the day. I'll catch you on the next episode.